So, Mary is my boss. Mary promised that if I talk too quickly, she's going to sue me. Alright. Thank you. So just quickly, we've changed how this next session is going to work a little bit. So originally I was going to give 2 lectures back to back with social science. I'm going to squeeze them into 1 lecture in about an hour, and then we're going to split you into your groups and do some preparation for the debate this afternoon. And so to kick it off, I've actually got some really, really bad news for you. The lecturers have all been lied to. Not Maria, not with his beautiful French accent. He wouldn't lie to you. But Rashid lied.
Chris, take it to your mom.
So no discipline is more important than any other discipline. That's a lie. And death as well. Social science is just as important. It's not death, it's more important. Lisa Madison, only 31. I thought 21, sorry. And the reason is social science is the best science. I'll tell you why in 1 slide. Who had a good time yesterday? Oh, who had a good time? No! I can think of someone that had a very good time. This is the life of a social scientist. This is all we do. Social science is the only discipline your data gets better the more you drink. It's the only discipline that you can only collect data in some circumstances if you're dancing. It's the only discipline where there are no rules about how you collect data and anything goes. Does everyone think social science sounds cool? Yeah. Talk, don't. So, social science has a bad rap. Am I going slow enough? Social science has a bad rap, and I'm an ecologist by background, and I used to think it was a shit science. Not a real science. The person who trained me said this to me. He said, there's no rigour, it's not a real science. He said, it's just someone's opinion. It's not real science. And he told me to get a real job. And I grew up thinking this. I always thought social science was crap. And then I moved into the government, and I've only found natural science, which is a really bad admission to make. But the longer I spent in government, the one thing I learned is that we manage people, not oceans. So fish will swim, waves will crash. People's behaviour is where we can make a real difference. We can't manage people if we don't understand people. Social science helps us understand people. So what I'm going to talk about is what is social science, why is it important, methods and techniques. I'll give you some examples, quickly touch on ethics in social science, and then I'll put some references at the end because it's going to be quite a quick lecture, so some further reading that you can do. So, what is social science? So, it's essentially the scientific study of human society, so what makes us us. And Lisa gave me some pictures of her childhood and growing up, which she said I could use to illustrate the point. So, it's everything that shapes the way we do everything that we do as people. So, it's about where we go. Wait for the next one. It's about our friendship. And most importantly, as we all sit here, it's about how we interact with one another. So Mum over there has been pretty rough on us this week. And in itself, social science isn't an independent discipline. So I call myself a social scientist, but it's not a discipline. It's actually a combination of disciplines. So anthropology, the study of mankind, where we come from, how we've got here. Sociology, our development, our structure, the way we function. Human geography, there was a human geography in the room, wasn't there? Yes. The study of how human activity affects and how we influence by the surface and where we live and so forth. Political science, organisation of our state, society, the way we govern society. Economics, which isn't a real discipline, is it, Rashid? And psychology. Psychology is another big one. It's the way our mind operates and why we make the choices that we make. They're the core ones, but there's also a range of what I'm going to call secondary ones, which are the ones down the bottom, which some of them aren't really disciplines per se. So not everyone thinks communication is a discipline, but law, communication, marketing, education, development, these all come together to make up what we collectively refer to as social science. So why is social science important? We've had some good talks at the beginning of this week, and again Lorenz with his sexy French accent stood out to me, but there's been a few good talks around how hard it is to manage complex social and ecological systems. So as a decision maker, we're trying to trade off against environmental impacts, social impacts, economic impacts. We have things like climate change, population growth hitting the system. Systems are really complex and really hard to manage. As a policy maker, you need to put restraints on the way humans are operating. So these restraints impact on what we want to do, how we operate, how we have an impact on our lifestyles. And it can lead to conflict, political turmoil, lack of compliance, and transaction costs for authorities. So social science is important because success is most likely when management actions are achievable, appropriate and acceptable to the community that they're going to impact. So by understanding what a community does, why it does it, you can set management measures to relate to their worldviews and they're more likely to listen to them. And so this is the domain of social science. So they elucidate local and cultural knowledge in a robust and meaningful way. So it's not saying science is be all and end all, we're understanding why people do things, how they interact, or combining it into scientific knowledge. Again, worldviews and motivations, but also social science helps us understand how management decisions will impact on society. So will it ruin someone's livelihood? Will they no longer be able to feed their family? Will it make them depressed? All these sort of personal attributes or community attributes that the traditional sciences can't pick up on. You put them together, you have an increased uptake and acceptance of new policies, and you have better management outcomes. There's essentially 4 levels that social science can operate at, and the first is instrumental, and that's kind of determining what constitutes effective governance. So how should we govern our communities, our civilisations, our societies or regions, whatever the level is, how should they be governed, how should they be ruled, how should we share things. Descriptive social science, which provides a historical account of diverse ways in which we come together to do things. So communities have adapted to climate change or climate changes and things like that over time in their own ways at different levels. By understanding how they've done that and why they've done that, we can come together and we can learn from that and we can apply that in a more systematic way to governing. Reflexive, so asking critical questions about how models are framed, justified and determined to be culturally appropriate. And as an example, I'm going to use you again, Larry, but in Australia I was brought up as a man who doesn't hug people when I first meet them. This week I've learned with your friends, you hug everyone and kiss everybody, pretty much. So if you need, there's big cultural differences. So if you want to tell somebody something and you want to change their behaviour, you need to frame it to what's saying, so what they believe in. So social science lets you ask these critical questions and frame information accordingly. And then generative social science, which produces innovative concepts, practices, policies and models. And that's the only time I use the word model in this talk. So social science is important. Societies are complex and diverse. If we want to manage them, we need to understand how to engage with everyone and how to do it effectively. And we can't do it without social science. Does everyone agree social science is important? Anyone disagree? So just like in the natural sciences, we have a range of techniques that we can use, and they're broadly grouped as quantitative and qualitative. So quantitative are things like surveys. So who's ever filled out one of those surveys like, I had fun today, on a scale of 1 to 5? Yeah, everyone's done it? That's a survey. Social network analysis, Ingrid spoke a bit about, and I'll talk a bit about tomorrow, so I think we all roughly know what that is. Content analysis, analysing documents, things commonly used in law to understand how things have come about, understanding the text. Structured observation. So yesterday when you guys were all partying on the boat and dancing away and watching Lee Street, everyone dancing, I could write a paper on that, to be honest, because I'm a social scientist and I was observing you. It's a pretty loose methodology. And the self-completion questionnaires. So they're very structured. I should put up the next one. So they allow us to test a relationship among variables. So the kinds of things that you guys are typically doing in the natural sciences. Limit cause and effect, comparisons, correlation, trends, patterns in data. So very sort of natural science orientated. Qualitative data is a bit more touchy-feely and soft and cuddly. So interviews, so how do you feel, so why do you feel that way? So give you the opportunity, or give the participant the opportunity to express their opinions, their beliefs, their views. Diaries is a bit of crap on it, to be honest. But keeping diaries and tracking someone's behaviour over change. Participant observation, again, just watching people documenting their behaviours, cultural differences in the way we operate when we're all together in a group. Focus groups, again, just putting people together, getting them to discuss an issue and watching how they end up with a decision and learning from that. Reflection and foresight, looking back at, again, why people have done something in the past, how can we get them to do it again. So qualitative data in contrast is around individual experiences. So it's really around experiences, perceptions and personal meanings. So Beth said that ice cream is important to her, yeah, Beth? Yeah. Is ice cream important to everyone? Oh, she got that backfired. The ice cream is not important to everyone. Yeah, I probably just got fired actually. Everyone perceives things differently. So I'm going to say Beth likes chocolate, I like strawberry. So we all like ice cream, we perceive it differently. So what drives us to have these differences and things like that? So qualitative lets us get that exploration. So in general, quantitative data gives us generalised patterns across a large scale. So if we know a fish swims 2 kilometres an hour in Australia, the same species in the Pacific somewhere else probably swims 2 kilometres an hour. Qualitative data gives us a far more in-depth understanding on a much smaller scale. And when we go through some case studies at the end, I hope that you see this. So we call this the big T of social science. As always, our questions depend on a unit of analysis, resources, how much money and time we have. But in social sciences, there's 2 concepts, epistemology and ontology, which I'll quickly run through, which sort of dictate how we make our choices. So the first is epistemology, which is ways of knowing the world, which means nothing to me. That's just how they formally define it. So essentially, positivist science is value-free science. Things are going to happen irrespective of their setting. Interpretivist science is so facts are value-dependent. So we all perceive the same facts differently. So people believe in climate change, people don't believe in climate change. They're using the same evidence, they're formulating their own decision. Again, positivist science is kind of what we use traditionally in the natural sciences. They have larger sample size, they can use an artificial location like aquaria. They test hypotheses. They're precise, objective, and quantitative style of data. They have a high reliability, but low validity. High reliability, but low validity. You can't really generalise across communities as well. Sorry, you can generalise across communities. In the contrast, more qualitative interpretivist science uses small samples. It has to have a natural location, like the pub, or if you're interviewing fishermen, you have to be on the back deck, you need to get their trust to be in their world. It's more concerned with generating theories, produces rich subjective qualitative data, and again, facts are value driven, so understanding the individual's values to get the facts. And they can't really be generalised from one population to another because we're all different. So ontology is beliefs about the world. So this is the other one. So objectivism is that social phenomena that occur outside of our reach. So again, things are going to happen in the world and we can't control them. So the institutions tell us what to do, we put them on. Constructionism is that our social phenomena are continually changing and driving our interactions with people. So for objectivism, knowledge resides outside the human mind, and knowledge has to be transmitted. So I'm teaching you guys all now, so this would be objectivism. You'll hopefully store something, and you'll know more about social science. Constructivism is that the knowledge is continually changing and generated based on our experience. And Lorraine, let me take a beautiful photo this morning. And I'm going to go back to my happy new example. You love it. Jacqueline. Can we turn the camera off on my presentation?
Would this be on the web also? Would this be on the web?
Yes.
Oh shit, what was I saying? So it's back to the it's back to the hugging example actually. So as an Australian man, I was always taught that you never hug another man. That was always just something that existed outside of my psyche. It's just the way Australian operates, the society operates, a general rule of thumb. After spending 4 days with Ren and Paul and all these other good-looking lecturers, my interactions with these different cultures and experiences have taught me that my own initial mental model was wrong. It's different, and different people do things differently. And so yesterday, Loren and me and Paul had a... we hugged. But the point I'm trying to say is my knowledge, my perception of the world has continued... I hope Eric's not filming. Has continually evolved because of these social interactions. So the way we perceive facts and the way we develop our knowledge is highly dependent on the people we talk to and who we interact with. So social science is a continuum. So on the left here, you have the sort of... This is where the natural science stuff tends to sit. It's the stuff you guys will be more familiar with. On the other side, you have interpretivism, constructivism. It lends itself more to the qualitative data techniques because you need to know about relationships and all that kind of stuff. And we use things like interviews and diaries and those sort of techniques. The point I want to make now is that social scientists have traditionally divided themselves by this, but I actually see social science as a continuum. And I actually think the most power that social science brings is in the middle here. So what I'm going to call the critical realist, which is where I pitch myself. I understand that knowledge can be knowledge, but I understand that it can be value dependent. And so we actually combine quantitative and qualitative methods to explore our theories. And so we use a combination of tools, which you'll see in some examples I'll give later. You understand me? So mixed methods, yeah, it uses qualitative methods for one phase of the research, quantitative for another. And so if you think back to that big T I drew up before, you get a really good breadth of information, we can get a really good depth of information and combine them into our one paper or one project, which is really important. Walking around looking at some of these posters and people looking at issues around fishing and co-management. My view is some of them, they're very quantitative at the moment, and some really benefit from a qualitative component as well to build into this sort of co-management model. That allows us to understand the complex socio-ecological system in their entirety. And we get far stronger conclusions through triangulation, which is a fancy way of saying we can confirm our results are correct. And again, it increases the generalisability of our results to compare among populations, societies and so forth. So now I'm going to give a couple of examples. So are there any questions before I move into examples? Is that because I've done an awesome job? So I'm going to give some examples. So my research, a big part of my research is how we get science into action, which I'm going to talk a lot about tomorrow. So we're just going to go through the methods today and we'll go through the theory and everything else tomorrow. But as a scientist, it's really important to me that I can pass my knowledge to a decision maker. So this is the Australian Prime Minister with a jar of Vegemite covering up his knees. I put it up once without the Vegemite, I got in trouble. And so I want to know how we can do this better. So I've answered 3 questions recently. So 1, is marine science used in management? 2, how can research organisations support stakeholder engagement? And 3, how can institutions better support scientists and stakeholder engagement? I picked these 3 questions to give you an example of content analysis, mixed methods, and full qualitative research. So question 1, is marine science used in management? So as a bit of a background, it's thought that marine MPA managers don't use science when they formulate a decision. It's all based on their personal perception. And there's lots of theory and anecdotes, but no actual empirical evidence. And because we want that empirical evidence, I took a positive approach because we wanted something quantitative. So what I did was we used content analysis. So we used 3 countries, Kenya, Belize and Australia, and we found all their marine protected area management plans, and we analysed them to see what types of information was used, how they were used, and what people were drawing on. So this is a management plan from a reef up in north-western Australia. And so what we did was we read them, we pulled out their bibliography, and we basically went through and categorised each piece of information that they cited or drew upon or used through the entire documents. So we classified them as an internet page, a scientific primary publication, a policy, a piece of legislation and so forth. And we went through and categorised everything. And what we were able to find is that on a global scale of our 3 case studies, the management plan cited about 54 pieces of information, but only 15% of that, or 14%, was actually primary science. Instead, decision makers were mainly drawing on technical reports and local government policies. So we started to show this pattern that decision makers weren't actually drawing on the primary science when they were formulating decisions. The other thing we found was that 74% of the citations were based only on the local pieces of information. So in the Ashmore case, if we go back, they went and cited pieces of primary science which were done at Ashmore Reef. We all know that our science has 5-grade application and 1 geographic location. And so they're not decision makers don't avail themselves of the full pieces of information, the full literature that's available to them. So then we wanted to know how can we do this better. So that's content analysis. Any questions on that? So then we wanted to know how can we help scientists to engage better with decision makers. So we know that organisations mediate our behaviour. And we know how decision-making organisations work because there's a lot of literature on it. don't know how scientists work or how their organisations support them. So we use mixed methods. So we went with step one, qualitative, because we wanted a bit of a depth in response. But then we wanted to be able to generalise our findings across a much bigger population, so we swapped to quantitative for step two. So for step one, we wanted to be able to formulate our final survey. So I did qualitative interviews with 6 different marine scientists. They were different career levels, early career, mid-level career, professorial, different fields, biological, social, economics, different genders, most were men or women, and different institutions. So some were researchers in a university, some in a government organisation, like SORA or AIMS, those sort of statutory authorities. And we did this to get lots of diversity. Again, we wanted that depth of response, we wanted diversity in our response. And we used, remember going back to qualitative data, we asked really open-ended questions to let them tell us how they feel. So we asked them for, so what is the role and importance of engaging with environmental decision makers to you on a personal level? What do you perceive as a role and importance of engaging with decision makers? What are and how do you think? Very open-ended statements. People could just talk to us. Each one of these interviews took me about an hour, because as people talk, we'd start to interact, I would probe with more questions, they would tell me more. And we start putting together a picture. I'll focus on this one here, for the sake of brevity. But essentially what you do is you take these transcripts, so you write down what they say, or you record it and write it down later. You take their transcripts and what they've said. To turn it into a survey, you just transcribe their statements. So these are some of the statements that people said to me over time. So engaging with decision makers is important to my organisation, but publishing in journals is more important to my organisation. Engaging with and communicating to decision makers is important for my career, but my organisation does not reward me for engaging with decision makers at the bottom. So you turn them all into a neutral, or if you can, into a neutral hypothesis, and you turn it into a quantitative survey. So again, we've all done stuff like this. It's called the Likely method. So we basically ask people to either agree or disagree with the statement on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, whatever you want to use. So we chose 1 to 10 because if you score on 1 to 10, there's no mid to it. You can't be neutral, you can't sit on the fence and force someone to make a decision, but they can leave a blank if they don't want to. And we throw out the questions to them, and they go through the score. The good thing about this is because it's a quick survey, it's a quick format, you can send it out to a large sample size. So we send it to every single member of the Australian Marine Sciences Association, which has members from every Australian research organisation in over 100 members. A really good sample to understand across Australia how things are working. And these are my results. So can everyone see that kind of? More or less, yeah. So early, mid, senior is early career research, so PhD to 5 years. Mid is 5 to 15 years, and senior is really old people. And so on the left there, we have the same questions I put to you all before. So engaging with and communicating decision makers is important to my organisation and so forth. So what we did is we calculated the means. So what you can start to do is start to look for patterns. So you can see that for all 3 career levels, engaging with and communicating to decision makers is important to them. Because the means above 6 was slightly agreed, 10 was strongly agreed. So you can see that for mid-level careers at 8.3, in general they really think this is important. This one here, publishing in high-impact journals, is important for career progression. Any career level thought that this was really important, really important. On the flip side, people disagree. So again, 5 was slightly disagree, 1 was strongly disagree. So what we can start to see is some patterns forming. So people disagree that their organisation provides them with resources to engage with stakeholders. They said that their organisation doesn't reward them for engaging with stakeholders. And then you have some neutral statements. And just to highlight the point, if you look at this one, which is engaging with and communicating to decision makers is recognised as a core component of my job. So it's actually recognised in our job description that this is what we should be doing. For early career researchers, no, they disagreed. They didn't have it recognised, though they wanted it recognised. Mid-level researchers felt that it was recognised. It was a core component of being a mid-level scientist that you engage with decision makers. And senior scientists are indifferent to it. So probably at that stage, you don't care as much because you've already got your contacts established. But you can start to get these general patterns of what's happening in terms of quantitative data. Because we could get it from, in the end we have about 80 people take part from 14 different research organisations. So we can generalise it across Australia and across science a bit more easily because we went a quantitative approach based on our qualitative interviews. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So what can we do with the other results for this group? And advice? next? What can we do with those numbers?
Come to my talk tomorrow. There seems to be a problem with the way organisations are supporting decision makers down the bottom. So organisations aren't supporting stakeholder engagement and they're not rewarding staff. And we wanted to explore this further. And again, so now we wanted to go from a generalised finding to something really specific. So we went back to a qualitative finding. So how can institutions better support decision-making agencies? Again now, so we want depth, so we're going qualitative. And so I used a case study approach for this, and I'm combining two papers, but we used a case study approach. So the Ningli research program commenced back in 2006. I've got one of the lead chief scientists here, Beth. It's a good program. Felton as a scientist. So it had $36 million of funding, and that funding was specifically to generate new science to manage that area, so science of management. It had 40 individual research projects broken into those four categories. So theoretically, you would think that given what the program was designed to do, science was getting into management. So we were contracted to evaluate this. And what we did was interviews with participants who took part in it, so the scientists and the decision makers who took part in the program. We wanted to know, did knowledge exchange happen? Did you share the science, and why or why not? And how can organisations support you better? And we used what we call a snowball technique. So again, in natural sciences, we might count 100 fish feed because we know we're going to get a small standard error, and we're comfortable with that saying that's representative. It's a bit harder with qualitative data to know your sample size, so we use snowball sampling. So you start at a starting point. In our case, it's first around the whole program. And you ask them, you interview them, and then you say, who else do you think we should interview? They give you a list of names. At the end of each of those interviews, who else do you think we should interview? They give you a list of names. And eventually you reach the point where there's no one else to interview. Our process identified 24 people who we should interview. We could only interview 21 because some had moved overseas and we couldn't get hold of them. But 21 out of 24 is not a bad representation of the overall group. There might only be 10 people to survey, in which case 7 out of 10 is a small sample size, but it's representative of the group in qualitative science. That's what's important. And what we did was I went out and interviewed them. So again, I asked them, how can your organisation support you better? Is the science good? All these really open-ended, touchy-feely questions where they can talk to them. And we transcribed them and coded them. So this isn't my data because my data was far messier. It's just an example I ripped off Google. But it's called coding. So what you do is you read the transcripts and you code all of their statements, which basically means you put it into a theme of what they've been talking about. Basically, the colour coding way is one way to do it, and there's different programs that we use in IMBeR. But then what you can do is look at frequency distribution. So how many times was each concept spoken about? And you can get, so you can get a frequency distribution. So this is actually from our paper. So how can we support knowledge exchange? So at the institutional capacities, 25 statements were made about that from 8 participants. And you can do this for all of your questions. So people say there are a lot of individual capacities. So 46 times people spoke about the need to build individual capacity. And 17 people spoke about it. So you get this frequency distribution. And you can, just because something's spoken about more often doesn't mean it's more important, but it kind of does reflect that it is a more prominent issue. So then, taking that, you can then look deeper. So you've got your overarching theme, and then you can look at what sort of subcategories comprise in your theme. And what we're able to find, and again, this is a different paper I've put two together, but what we're able to find is it's not up to the scientific organisation purely to support the scientists to engage. We actually found it has to happen at 3 levels. So the research organisation, the research funding level, and the decision-making organisation. And we'll go through this again tomorrow, but just quickly. So research organisations need to formally recognise and reward scientists for engaging with decision makers. They need to provide training and professional development, particularly for early career researchers, and how to engage with decision makers. Funders need to change the way they give out funding. It's not good enough anymore just to say, here's your bucket of money, don't give me some biophysical research. That's the end of it. They need to develop funding to support the natural scientists and then engage with decision makers. Decision-making organisations, they need to do a far better job of developing and communicating their knowledge needs. So when we're designing a research project, we know what they need and we can align our research with their needs. And they need to train their staff to have a better scientific understanding so that as scientists, when we talk to them, we can find a much easier common ground. So again, by using that qualitative approach and that in-depth approach, we're able to map out how we can build these capacities at the institutional level. So that's pretty much it for the examples. Any questions so far? Yeah.
I'm just curious with your frequency column, if you ever, do you always go through your surveys or interviews in the same order? And does that affect, do you do any bias correction for like later in the interview people might realize they are going to need to go soon and not talk so much about those questions? Do you control for that at all, or you just put a lens on that helps you interpret those numbers?
Yeah, so unlike economists, social scientists aren't biased, so no, we do deal with that. So we have our questionnaire, we have our question guide. It's part of your social science training, so as you learn to do these interviews, it's really important that you don't lead your participant down a particular route. So we all bring our own biases to any question. And for me, having worked in a management agency, I have my own biases of how these things should work. So it's really important when you give the questions that they're very open-ended, that you're never leading anyone. So you typically start very, very broad, and then you might narrow the conversation down. So it's really important that you stick to your script. And even if you're prompting them, you're prompting them in very generic terms, so you're not influencing them. Then there's different ways in terms, so that's when you collect the data. So when you're analysing the data, there's a couple of different ways to do it. So one is to have multiple people do the data. And so, for example, I might do it, and then I might give the same data to IMBeR as part of the same project and get her to code the data independently, and we'll look at the level of overlap or correlation between our two responses. If there's a big disagreement with how we've coded it, we'll probably have to re-input it and start again. So there's different ways to do it. Yeah, it's just one of those things I guess you have to be very conscious of. So as I said before, when we use quantitative data, we have standard error and all those sort of measures where we know we're comfortable. We know it's a small standard error, so we know, oh, it must be right. The fish take on average 10 bites per minute. The standard error of 0.2, yeah, that's awesome. We do significance. We can't do that with qualitative data. It's much harder to know when we reach that reliability and validity. And typically people don't really care too much because social science is a fake science. But we've disagreed. So what we've started doing is trying to look at this sort of thing. So this is a paper we did earlier this year, some work in the South Pacific. But it's a bit hard to see. So on the y-axis, we have the cumulative number of concepts encountered. So if we go back to our themes, oh no, there it is. So it's not the research organisation, the point funder. So the number of concepts that you encounter during the interviews, you plug them in across the number of interviews. So as you would expect, the more interviews you get, the more concepts, the more pieces of information you're getting. And as you can see, over the first 5 interviews or so, there's quite a steep growth in the number of new concepts that are being given. And then it sort of plateaus a little bit, goes up a little bit, and starts plateauing a little bit. And if you keep tracking this, there's a point where the growth is so small that there's no need to do more interviews. So in this case, unlike what I said in the previous examples, there are only 24 names. As I said, we interviewed 21. That was great. In this one, there were probably 80 people plus that we could have interviewed. We're doing an hour-and-a-half interview with 80 people is not logistically possible throughout the South Pacific, mainly because I didn't speak all the languages. So you plot it as you go, and you can see when your results start to plateau out. So once you've reached saturation of concepts, that's another good time to stop. So the same way that you guys might use standard error, this is how we're making sure that our data is reliable and valid, and so forth. And just to finish up, another really big consideration, and I was talking to Steph about this yesterday in the past, is how we do ethics in social research. So when we kill fish, so I used to be in a college and we killed thousands of fish, and all we had to assure the ethics board was that the population would go extinct or ecosystem function wouldn't change. That's nice and easy. When you're dealing with social sciences, you're dealing with people's emotions, you could be dealing with children, marginalised groups, old people, vulnerable people, and consequences can be significant. So just a quick example. After some of my early work, I was interviewing decision makers, marine park managers in Australia, and I was asking them about how they respond to climate change. And there was this one lady who couldn't answer any of my questions about even what is climate climate change? What is adaptation? How do you use science? And she started to cry. You and I don't like hugging people. I don't like people crying at me either. and that really stung me. It really messed with her emotions because she felt really inadequate at her job all of a sudden because she felt like she had discovered efficiencies in herself, which wasn't the intention of my research, but I had no idea that she could ever react that way. But obviously there was something around her, maybe insecurity in her job, or maybe there were performance issues, whatever it was. There was something about her life that made her feel uncomfortable and changed her emotional state. So in social science, we need to be really, really careful with this. So we only get people to participate if it's voluntary. We get their consent before they start. So we give them a big fact sheet. This is what you're doing, this is why you're doing it, this is the risk, and so forth. You get their consent. You have to make sure it's confidential. You want people to trust you and tell you the truth. And you can only do that if it's confidential. Because otherwise you could lose your job if you say something against the government, for example. You need to be respectful of their privacy and culture, so you need to be really empathetic to that individual. And it is really tough. It is really tough, like you say. So the key messages are social science is essential if we successfully want to manage and protect the marine ecosystem. We have a range of tools to do it, quantitative and qualitative, and it's going to depend largely on our epistemology, ontology, funding, and so forth. Personally, I think mixed methods are sitting in the middle space. Social research is empirical. Even qualitative data is empirical, and as I said, there's ways to make sure that it's representative and reliable and valid and so forth. But as we're doing this type of research, we need to be really, really mindful of ethics and social science. We need to protect the study participants. I need to go back to my first slide. Rashid didn't lie. No discipline is more important than any other. And Beth probably didn't lie. Social science is just as important. So there's still this really big gap between the social sciences and the natural sciences. Quite often social scientists, for example, have used communicators for people to do outreach, but that's not the case. We do collect data, we collect empirical data. And as Rashid said the other day, Mary build bridges, not walls. Build bridges, not walls. We need to integrate the social and the natural sciences a lot better. I think that's where schools like this come in, because they expose you to an interdisciplinary field of research so that you can at least understand what other people in other fields might be working about. So they weren't lies. This one, I'm different. I'll let you form your own opinion. And yeah, so that's a really quick introduction to social science. The top 3 references are really good, quick opinion pieces, which for anyone that's got an interest, I recommend that you have a read of. And obviously there'll be a PDF that goes out with this.